So, when I lost all my money and all my gigs were cancelled, I went back on the scratcher and I started to write poetry before I could do my plays. So these are two short poems that I wrote when and let me give you the backstory. I wrote a play it was called The Unsung Hero. It was about my heroes in life, Michael Joseph O'Reilly, the co-founder of the Irish Volunteers, and Nanny O'Reilly. And it was my godmother, was their granddaughter. I was really blessed that Aegon O'Reilly, their son, would sit me on his lap and tell me stories of his father, because he was a 10-year-old boy when his father was murdered on the back of Moore Street and was shot 10 times and died bleeding, but wrote a beautiful love letter to his beloved wife. And she was 6 months pregnant at the time. And I just want to give you the backstory is that the day that they knocked 40 Herbert Park, they didn't knock down the house, they knocked down our soul and our character, because she was 6 months pregnant at the time and she was the vice president of the Cumann na Món, and she kissed her husband goodbye knowing he was going to die. And if you know the man, he knew he was going to die. He was a cowboy, he was a soldier, and he went out fighting. So he picked 12 brave men to run down Moore Street knowing he was going out in a blaze of glory. So when the house got knocked down by our scrupulous developers and DCC, you showered of bastards, you know you're in it. I wrote this poem called Soulless. My city has no soul, my city has no flowers. Today I walked from Communal Jail to 30 Herbert Park to say goodbye to the home of my unsung heroes, Michael and Nancy. All I saw was high crane towers and Google concrete blocks. Boarded up with wet houses once filled with crack August Kjol. The people campaigned to save our nightlife. We linked in love and solidarity to save our Moore Street. Block by block, our history, heritage and culture is being sold off. The hallowed halls and the houses that Luke once sang of are dying in front of our eyes. The scrupulous developers know the cost of everything and the value of nothing. A house that survived a rebellion, a rising, and the empire was demolished in the shadows by on its own blood and greed. The flying crane is lost and creativity is slowly dying. Pushed out for press calls when the world leaders arrive, but kicked to the curb with our begging bows when they leave. Fighting for scraps to stay alive and create in darkness. I think to myself of Dee O'Reilly, Nancy, Connolly, Wolftone and Markovich. What would they think of Ireland today? For I fear of the people running this city, the fools, the fools, the fools. I had a hunger for a bag of chips on Pearse Street, filled to the brim with salt and vinegar, of course. I sat on the steps of Pearse and Sons to take it all in, when I heard a voice from the rear, "Here, Shades, have you had the end of a smoke?" "No," says I, "but I have a bag of chips." Without missing a beat, she shouts at me, "If I wanted fucking chips, I would have asked you." Ah, Dublin, there is hope yet as laughter fills my soul. When a lady dressed in red stops and smiles and fills my soul. She made me dream of possibilities of a wild romance and a dirty session. I smiled back and gave her a cheeky wink, for she made me believe again in my city of Dublin, once of hope and romance.
Really well.